And we are live. Wim Dijkgraaf, Quotation Factory, with an announcement of a new feature available to all our users right now, but also with an explanation of the vision around work planning for metal workers and what we are releasing the next couple of months and quarters in order to make work planners way more efficient and make their work way more nice to do by automating a lot of hassle. So what we see is that quoting and work planning are two processes that are really intertwined. So the quoting needs a lot of decisions made by work planners in order to decide how to manufacture certain features in the product, and that decision is really important in order to decide the production time and costs involved in order to be able to quote that. So what we are trying to do is not only to automate the quotation process as much as possible, but also to automate the work planning process. That's why, in our vision, we need to be in full control of the features found in the 3D model, and we should not be dependent on the way CAM systems recognize features. And why is that? Because the main question upfront in the process is how we are going to manufacture which features, and not whether we can manufacture it. Of course, that's the second question as well. But the question is more, which features are we going to manufacture how, with which parties in the supply chain on which machines? That's roughly the model that we try to automate. And since Quotation Factory has its own built recognition engine under the hood, that is not only sheet metal, but also tubes, also turning, milling, tube bending, bars, beams, etc., we are in the process, in the right position to be the platform to do the whole decision making around features, working steps, machines, parties, etc. So let me share my screen to make it explicit instead of just a lot of talking. And now my screen became visible. So what you see now is previously we already showed the features that we found, but there's a table here in the left bottom corner of this window, and it was not interactive. What we can do now is, let me remove this 2D model such that we have a little bit more space to work with, like this. You can now open this up, and where it is underlined, it's interactive. So I press this, I click this, and now you see this hem being highlighted. You also see here the various properties of this hem, and the fact that this bending is a hem already was known by this attribute yes. In order to find the highlighted features more easily, you can also show it as a wireframe. So for example, if I now go to this, then you see this bending, this normal sheet metal bending being highlighted. I can also press this, that bending is highlighted, and I can click this, and you see that the other hem is being highlighted. Yeah, so now the features are interactive in the viewer, and you can highlight them. Also, something important to note is that most of our sheet metal related customers, they really want to be able to assign a side which should be the upper side. For example, if it has a foil side or a surface side, like a certain pattern. We are pretty close to that, because as you can see now, you can highlight a whole side like this, or the other side. All the information is known and also in the viewer. So we are just a little step away from also adding this feature to the platform. Well, what's the whole idea behind feature recognition? That in the end, if you assign a feature to a working step, and therefore, and to a working step, and that working step to a machine, and for example, also that working step to a party in the supply chain, you actually create a route. And that route has the information in it, which features, where in the process will be manufactured, which way, by whom, on which machine. And because we do feature recognition, we also can de-feature features, such that we can create 3D models of how the product looks like in all the intermediate steps in the whole route. Which also means that in the nearby future, you will have 3D models that only contains the features needed in order to program the CAM system for that specific machine and for those specific features to be manufactured. So the Quotation Factory platform will be able to create the 3D models throughout the whole route, which you can use as input for the CAM systems. But for example, you can also use it as input for example, decisions like, can I pick this up with a cobot, the way the product looks like at this moment in the production process? Or for example, can the cobot stack it, one product on top of the other, or do we need an additional operator to do that with this model? So the use cases for having all those models of the product during the route are way more versatile than only for quoting and work planning purposes. Let's have a look at this product. Then, for example, what you see now is that if we recognize drilling holes, you can also make them visible. So it becomes way more, how do you say that, clear what is recognized and how it is recognized. And for example, also this hole in this model. What else? This might be relevant as well. Let's have a look at this tube. The reason why I show this is to show you that now you have a generic CAM system that knows all about the features, that can with those features, you can automate the decision-making process around manufacturability, and you don't need the underlying specialized CAM systems for this. Let me see. Let me put it as a wireframe, and then, for example, we can highlight those holes. Also here, if the hole is the diameter is too small, the hole is too small, diameter too little, to cut it with a cutter, laser cutter, and it should, for example, be drilled, then we can make that decision automatically using business rules. We can remove those small holes from the 3D model as input for example, the tube cutter. And if the tube cutter is able to engrave, we can also include an engraving in there as a preparational, how do you say that, work in order to make the drilling more effective, efficient, accurate. So there are a lot of use cases for this. And you don't need the process planners, etc., to use CAM and CAD systems to create all the intermediate models and to make these decisions based on human decision management. We can automate this. Sorry, this was not what I meant. I meant this one. So also here you see the sawing side. One side is flat and could eventually be sawn. Probably you are not going to do that, but it's just an example. Last example from the point of view of, for example, countersinks. So here you see various countersinks. You have to be careful not to cut the outer diameter, but the inner diameter. So also what we can do here is those countersinks are known. They are highlighted here. We can remove the countersink as input for the sheet cutter just to make sure that it will be processed correctly. And of course, the countersinks are part of the PMI data that will be sent, that will be part of the 3D model that can be used for the countersinking working step and machine. So that's what we are heading for. Just to summarize, Features are highlighted now in the 3D model. Features can be allocated in short notice, short term, within the next couple of months. Certain features can be allocated to, specific features can be allocated to specific working steps. In other words, how are we going to manufacture this feature? Those working steps will be allocated to the machine that produces it, as well as the party that is going to manufacture that. So the route will have a very nice granularity within Quotation Factory of features mapped to working steps, mapped to parties that will be doing that working step, as well as the machine on which it will be manufactured. And that will be, you will be able to do that interactively by a user without using CAM systems. And you will be able to use business rules in order to make those decisions as automatically as possible. And then on top of that, we will be able to remove features based on the whole route, such that for the intermediate steps in the route, you have 3D models representing how the product looks like at that moment in the production or manufacturing process. So that's what we are moving towards in the next couple of months. We will roll out these features bit by bit. Yeah, that's it. I hope it's useful, inspiring, and feedback is always welcome, of course. Thanks for the attention, and see you next time. Bye-bye.